Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to data structure introduction session. Please confirm if you can hear me. Okay. So today is the introduction session of DSA module. DSA is data structure and algorithms. So we are going to focus on what is this DSA is, what we are going to see in this module and which software we are going to use for this. Okay. So I hope everyone here is a full stack student. Anyone who is not a full stack student, so please write in the chat or unmute. Anyone there who is not a full stack student? Okay. So JNIT, Amok. So you have C++ idea before, Amok? Everyone
Yes,
has a C++,
yes, sir.
okay, knowledge. Okay. So C++ language or any language like at least Java, C++, any one of the programming prior knowledge is required in this data structure and algorithm. So I will just explain you in a short, like what is a data structure? Is it a different programming language or something? So not a new programming language. You have any programming language prior knowledge before like Java, you know Python, C++, C Sharp, VB, any programming language knowledge if you have, you can learn data structure. It's not a new programming language. So what we are going to learn in this data structure then, so in, for example, in Java or C++, if I give you a simple question like write a program to print hello world, so you are going to create a program, right? And after creating this program, then we say we are done with the program. But after this, a data structure starts. When you create a simple program for printing hello world, or you are going to create a simple program for calculating sum of two numbers, so that program is correct, your code is correct, you're getting output, means of course your program is completely correct. But is that program is efficient program? Can we implement in the real project? If we are creating, if any working in any organization, that project requires this logic of calculating two numbers. So can we put this code inside our project? So it depends on the efficiency of the program, how faster your program is. So after creating your program, you have to do some further things like check how many variables you are using. Can you decrease the number of variables? Can you decrease number of lines? So maybe the code will become complicated, but the performance of code will increase because your number of lines are decreased. So we have to take everything into consideration and make program faster. This is our main motto in the data structure module. So are we going to just focus on like reducing number of variables and how to reduce line? No, there are different techniques which are already created by famous mathematician, famous programmers, by spending many years on one concept, and we are going to use those techniques here to reduce the time taken by our code, number of lines in our code, and finally improve the performance of our application. So we are going to learn techniques in this. So whether you have knowledge of any programming language, it doesn't matter. You should have base knowledge of programming, like you should know conditional construct, means if else or switch case, any one, you know. In some programming language we have both, in some we have only if else. So you should know if else, conditional construct, you should know loops concept, you should know array concept for this, you should then later you should know functions, and finally you should know somewhere classes and objects concept. So if you have knowledge of these concepts, so you can easily start with the data structure. So I will recommend you to try as many as demos possible from today on this. Any demos you know, you can just practice them, so you will get used to these topics. Input output, how to work with input outputs, means variables and data types in short. So we don't require any specific technique of any specific programming language here. We just required something which is common in all programming languages. Okay. So these concepts are required: prior knowledge required for DSA techniques, and then you can easily start with data structure. Okay, so let me first save this file on desktop. DSA introduction 15/3/2021. So because this is introduction session, we are just going to learn about data structure. We are just going to learn about some techniques today, and maybe we'll start with one code just to understand data structure. But the coding part, we are going to start from the first session of data structure, not in intro section. It will be directly in next session. The main coding part will start next session. So I have few images here. Let me open one image, copy 15/3/2021 DSA, paste. Okay, so what is a data structure? It's a simple definition actually. You can just look at this definition. You just have to understand what is data structure. So data structure is a way of organizing data so that it can be used effectively. So the data structure is, first of all, it has a word data in it. So managing data, how you're organizing your data, how you're managing your variables in the program. So data structure is all about, you can say, memory management, and making your program efficient. So data structure is a way of organizing data. So everyone work with the data, everyone work with variables, everyone work with data and everything. But while working with data, how to manage that data effectively. This is the data structure. And why data structure? Why it is required? So they are essential ingredients in creating fast and powerful algorithms. See the words they are using. Like while creating any recipe, we put some ingredients. Similarly here, these are the necessary, important ingredients while creating program. You cannot create program without these ingredients. Otherwise, it is not going to test well. If you want to create your program efficiently, you require this important points, techniques inside your program. So they help to manage and organize data. They make code cleaner and easier to understand. So this is the importance of data structure. So what we are going to do here in the data structure, we are going to focus on the logic while creating the program. So you might have heard before one word, algorithm. Algorithm is a famous word everyone use for representing your logic, your step-by-step procedure for solving a problem. So you might have heard anyone like in Google, whenever they launch a new feature, they give a presentation or they arrange one, um, what we call it, seminar or one presentation video on YouTube or other. website, social media websites, where they say we are introducing a new algorithm, and this algorithm is going to do this type of feature. Okay, for example, just now Google introduced new feature, like you can directly book appointment from your mobile phone. Just say book appointment, um, let's say like Siri or Google, and it will automatically book the appointment, like doctor appointment, dentist appointment, or anything like this. And it will also send you reminder that your appointment is this or this day, this time. So they introduce a new feature, means they have created a new algorithm. Why they are calling use they are using word algorithm? Algorithm is not any coding. Algorithm means they have just created one step by step procedure that how they are going to implement this technique inside their program. So the algorithm is programming independent. If you give this algorithm to any programmer, whether that programmer is a Python developer or Java developer or C++ developer, so that developer can easily implement it, because we are not giving any code to that programmer. We are just giving logic. If you give logic to any programmer that how you are going to solve this problem, that programmer can easily solve it because he got the logic how to solve it. So in short, algorithm is nothing but a step by step procedure to solve a problem, a logic behind the program. If you write it and if you give to any programmer, any programming language, it's a programming independent, so they can easily implement it. So here we are going to try creating efficient algorithms. We are going to try creating efficient logics. So let's read here one passage, and this is the first chapter of data structure. It's a small module. We have total 6 chapters in this, focusing on 6 different concepts of data structure. And today we are going to try the introduction chapter. So let's first understand the need of data structure. Computer science is a field of study that solves a variety of problems using computers. So in computer science, we try to build different type of logics to solve different problems. So the problem to be solved could be as easy as addition of two numbers, or it can be as complex as designing the robot capable of making decision. But both have algorithm, both have logics. Adding two numbers or designing robot, both have logics. We require different step by step procedure to solve this kind of problem, whether it is addition problem or making a robot, this big problem. So to solve a given problem using computers, you have to design algorithm. The nature of an algorithm often depends closely on the nature of data on which the algorithm works. So whenever you are creating algorithm, means a logic to solve the problem, of course it will also involve a data. Without data, nothing will happen. As simple demo as sum of two natural number or sum of two number also involve data. Means variable is nothing but your data here. Therefore, the study of algorithm also involves the study of data structure that the algorithm work on. And this chapter is going to discuss on role of algorithm, data structure in problem solving through computers, and it also discusses some standard techniques, common techniques we use in designing algorithms. So if you use these techniques, it's going to solve your program efficient. So algorithm, first of all, you have to understand algorithm is nothing but just step by step procedure. For example, if I want to solve this problem, create algorithm for adding two numbers. So you can write like this: step one. If you have not seen any algorithm before, so I am showing you this. If you want to add two numbers and if I want to create algorithm, so I will write step one, start the algorithm. Step number two, uh, let uh, take or accept first number. Then step number 3, accept second number. Step number 4, calculate sum. And finally, step number 5, display sum. And step number 6, end the algorithm. So now if you see this algorithm, what do you see? This is a programming language? No, it's not a programming language. Can I run this program? No, you cannot run, because this is just a logic. You can write it on a piece of paper or just write it on notepad anywhere. This is just a logic. Now read this logic carefully. If I give this to any programmer, they can easily create the program for this. What I'm saying, start the algorithm, means let's say Java developer or C++ developer, they will start writing code. Accept first number. Now accept number is possible in C++ also, Java also, Python also. In C++ someone will write Cin. In Java someone will write scanner. In C sharp someone will write readline. Python someone will write input. So everyone has something to take input from user. So when I give this algorithm to any developer, they will just write their own code to accept data. So because I have said that step number 2, accept the number. So the programmer will accept number in his or her own programming language. Then accept second number. Then they will calculate sum, and then finally they will display the sum. So this algorithm is nothing but just explaining how to calculate two numbers. And if I give this algorithm to any programmer, that programmer can see the algorithm and implement this algorithm in their own programming languages. So there are no rules of like algorithms. You can also write same algorithm like this, more technical. Start the algorithm. Step number 2, let A, B and C be three numbers. So there are three numbers. Step number 3, accept A. Step number 4, accept B. Step number 5, C equal to A and B, A plus B. And step number 6, end the algorithm. Sorry, display C and then end the algorithm. So this is not a different algorithm. It's the same algorithm like I created here, but I have written here more technically, more like a programming language. I'm writing let A, B and C be three number. So if I give this algorithm to any programmer, that programmer is going to create three variables in short, A, B and C or X, Y, Z, any variables. Then that programmer is going to accept two values and then add them and finally display. So in short, algorithms are not programming languages. They are just logics. They are just step-by-step procedure to solve this particular problem. And then if you give this algorithm to anyone, so that programmer can easily solve. So we also have to focus on logic first before writing the program. We don't have to create this type of algorithms or something, but every program contains step-by-step procedure which we have to understand. Okay, so the role of algorithm is important. So the word algorithm actually is derived from the name of Persian mathematician Al-Khwarizmi. An algorithm can be defined step-by-step procedure for solving a problem. See, same type of definition. You can solve the problem by writing step by step. It helps the user to get the correct result with the finite number of steps. Consider the following step to display first and natural numbers. So this algorithm they have created for printing first and natural number. So they are saying create one variable count and its value is 1. Display the count. Then increment count by 1. So count value was 1, it will become 2. And because 2 is less than, again go to step number 2 and display count. So it will display 2, then become 3, and again go up, print 3, then 4, and this is how it's going to print 1 to 10, means first 10 natural numbers. So again, this is just algorithm written in text. If you give this algorithm, so any programmer will implement this program, create a program and print first and natural number. Someone will use Java programming language, someone will use Python, they will use their own loops which they have in their languages, and they will print this. So in short, the algorithm word is used for representing a logic behind your program, representing steps behind your program. So in this module, we are going to write programming language. Of course, we are going to write a code which we can run. But before writing code, we have to focus on its logic. And different algorithms are possible to solve one problem. I will give you one example for that as well. You can solve one problem using 2 different codes or 3 different codes or 4 codes. Now you have to understand selecting the best one. So finally, in this module, what we are going to learn, we are going to learn making program efficient by reducing number of variables, number of lines. And how we are going to do this? We are going to use some techniques created by already some mathematician and programmers by spending many years on this one concept. So if you use these techniques, automatically your lines of code and number of variables and everything is going to reduce and your program efficiency will increase. Okay, now sometimes this also happens that same technique is created by 2 different mathematicians. One mathematician saying my technique is best, another is saying my technique is best. Now what you will do? Both are mathematicians, both are famous, both are well-known mathematicians, both techniques are well famous. But which technique you will choose? So you should be able to find out which technique is the best one. And that we are going to learn here. How you are going to find out best technique if you have multiple algorithms in front of you. Okay. So in short, here we are going to work on the same programming language you know, but we have to learn in detail. So role of what is the data structure? Multiple algorithms can be designed. See, same multiple algorithms can be designed to solve a particular problem. However, the algorithms may differ in extent of efficiency. Efficiency means how fast it is. What is the performance of that, to which they can solve the problem. In such a situation, an algorithm that provides maximum efficiency should be used for solving a problem. Here efficiency means algorithm should work in minimal time and minimal memory. So if you create any algorithm and if another program, let's say you are working on one project and you have given a task, same task is given to other programmer, both have created, both have solved that task, but one has created efficiently, another just created for showing output. So of course the first one is going to be taken, not the second one, because we want our application to run fast. We don't want, because of one small code, the entire application will give less performance. One of the basic technique for improving efficiency of algorithm is structure of the data that they operate on in such a way that the resulting operations can be efficiently performed. The way in which the various data are organized in memory with respect to each other is called data structure. So how you are going to organize your memory, how you are going to manage it efficiently, effectively, that is important. So data can be categorized in many different ways. Therefore you can create as many data structure as you want. However, there are some standard data structure that have proven useful over many years. These includes arrays you already know in your language. There is something called linked list we are going to see here in further chapters. Stacks is one option, queues, and there is one concept, trees. So linked list, stacks, queues, and trees, these are some data structures, means when you store data, when you store your value, whether it is int string, that doesn't matter, whatever data you are storing, how you are storing it. Okay, so there is, if you store in a group together, so there are different ways. We have linked list, stack, queues, trees, and these are actually used in all application. The application you use in regular life, day to day life, everywhere these options are actually used. So you will learn more about these data structure in, of course, subsequent chapters. So we are going to see this concept. We are going to create a code for these arrays. We already have in all language: linked list, stack, queues, trees, sorting, filtering data, how you are going to make it fast, how you can search fast. So these techniques we are going to see in this. All these data structure are designed to hold a collection of data. Means in all these which are mentioned above there, these are used to store collection of data, means multiple data. Array, you can store multiple data, linked list, stack, queues, trees, this concept also. However, the difference lies in the way in which the data item are arranged in respect to each other and the operation that they allow. So every data structure here store data in different ways. Okay, so if you store data in linked list, when you display that data, it will display in different way. Stack will display in different way, queue will display in different way, tree will display. So everyone is storing in different ways, so their way of showing data back is also different. So we will focus on them later when we actually start with them one by one. Okay, so they have given one example of simple data structure, which of course everyone know: array. They have given one advantage of array, why array is available in all programming language. Okay, so for example, you want to accept 50 numbers. You want to accept 50 numbers from user and check the greatest number between them. So this is the algorithm they have given. You have to first create 50 variable: num1, num2, num3, num4, num5, num6, num7, like this, num50. And then you have to write 50 block, if else block. If number is greater than this, number is greater than this, and same you can do for 50 times. And finally, after some 100, 200, 300 lines, you will get maximum number, the highest number between 50. And other hand, on the other hand, if you create array of size 50, you create one array with size 50, and if you use loop and of course the same if, so you can just do the same task in four lines of code instead of those 200 and complex code. So from the preceding to algorithm, it can be seen that the algorithm that using an array manipulating data more efficiently than algorithm that is using 50 variables. In addition, the algorithm using array involves few steps and therefore easier to understand and implement as compared to algorithm that uses 50 variables. So data structure also enable the creation of reusable components. Suppose you have created a class to implement data structure. So this we will see later. This we will not go in deep here. So we'll see this part. They have just given here one line, but that is going to explain in further chapter. So why to discuss now? We'll discuss them later with examples and code. Okay. So what we have to know here, I am going to write summary of the chapter side by side. The first thing is data structure, full form, of course, you know. Then we discuss about algorithms. Algorithm, simple definition is: algorithm is a step by step procedure to solve problem. Okay, so it is just a step by step procedure to solve a problem. And there is no fixed way of writing. You can write in your own ways, but it should explain properly what your program will do, so any programmer can see it and create the code for it. After understanding the algorithm, there are actually some important properties also of algorithm, because they are also asked in exams, so we will see the properties. So the first property of algorithm is finiteness. Finiteness means it should have finite number of steps. You cannot say my program has infinite step. How many lines are there in your code? Infinite. I don't know how many lines are there. Infinite lines. Not possible. You will write code, your code will have some fixed number of lines, right? You cannot say I have infinite lines. So the first property of algorithm is finiteness. Then second property is definiteness. This is very important. Definiteness. That algorithm which I have wrote is actually closed. Let me create that again. Step 1, start the algorithm. Then step number 2, let A, B and C be three numbers. The algorithm I just created, I actually closed it. So let me create it again. Except A, step number 4, except B, step number 5, C equal to A plus B, step number 6, display C, and step number 7, end the algorithm. Now see the steps carefully. All the steps are doing something unique. All the steps here, they are doing their own work. They are not mixing the works. All the steps here, because this is not a programming language, so whenever anyone see this code, this algorithm, they should understand what your algorithm is trying to explain. So see the first step, start the algorithm, means our program started. Now second step, in the second step we just declared the variables, only variable declaration. In the third step, we are taking data input. This is input step, input. The step number 5 is process step. We are doing process, input, process, and this step is output. Input, process, output. So every step is separated. We are not doing except A and after that the same line display. So then this step is, then there is ambiguity. This step is input also, output also. So algorithm is saying when you create algorithm, remember this, every step should do only one task at a time. So the code becomes easy to understand. Each step is an algorithm is unambiguous. There should not be any ambiguity, confusion in this step, whether this step is doing input or output. So if you see this algorithm, this is actually more informative and anyone can understand this. But if you do everything in one line or something, because of course it's not a programming language or you are not writing it for or your own, you will give this algorithm to other programmers. Any programmer can use this. Any programming language programmer can use this. So this means that actions specified by the steps cannot be interpreted in multiple ways and can be performed without any confusion. So anyone can easily understand and they will see, okay, so we have to declare three variable here. So they will declare three variable in their language. Okay, what is the next step? Okay, we have to accept data. Okay, I will do accept data scene or scanner. Then what we have to do next? Accept B. So I will again do scene or scanner, whatever language you are using. I'm giving two example here, C++ and Java. Then step number 5, okay, here I have to do addition. So I will do addition now in my programming language while writing code. So every step is explaining properly so they can easily follow the steps. They are unambiguous. Every algorithm takes 0 or more inputs. So some algorithm they take input, some they don't take input. And every algorithm at least give at least one output. Every algorithm display at least something. And effectiveness means it consists of basic effectiveness means how fast your program is running. Okay, there are some competitive websites also, if you know, You can start means later after understanding some programming language base part. There are some website where we can go and compete with other programmers. Okay, when you go there, getting the output is of course important thing, so you will get points there. It's like a game, like when you play online game. So if you kill 5 people, you will get more points. Other are killing 4, they will get less. Similar here, if you complete your program faster, yeah, if you get the output in your program, you will get more points. Otherwise you will get less points. And there is one more thing here, getting the output is important, but if you get output in time, if your program is running and if it gets output in 0.05 millisecond, then your program is accepted. Otherwise they will say this program is rejected. Your program is giving output, your program is completely proper, then also they will reject your code. They will say your code is not giving output in time. Okay, means you have done something, anything using array, loop, anything here and there just to get output, which is not accepted. So means they are very competitive website. We have to uh, display output in time. We cannot just display output, we have to display output in time. So these are the properties of algorithm. This is one sample algorithm. Step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Create algorithm to print sum of two numbers. This is just example of algorithm. Okay, so data structure is a algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve a problem, and it has some properties: finiteness, definiteness, input, output, and effectiveness. Okay, so then after that there are two type of data structure. Of data structure. Type of data structure means when you store your data, there are two ways you can store. One is static and second is dynamic. So because everyone know array, so I can explain this concept. Maybe you have seen this concept before. Whenever you create array with, let's say, any size like 4, or let's say the size is 2, so it will create one array, and in this array we can only hold two values: 0 position and 1 position. Correct. When you say ARR2, the array is created, it can hold two values. So I am storing values 4 and let's say 6. But after this, if I want to store values, it is not possible, because you have already given array sizes 2, so you can only store two values. So if the data increase, you have to go again and change the code. If again data increase, change the code. If data decrease, again change the code. So it, we don't do that. This, have you ever seen, like when you go to ATM, someone programmer is sitting inside and writing code every second because your size is changing or something, you're taking more amount, so programmer is changing limit of ATM or something? This, no, because they have already written one logic which understand everything, and they don't have to change code every time. So we have to create a code which we don't have to change every time. So the, what is the solution for this? If you increase the size, if you think I will create one array with 200 size, then so I can store more values. So of course it will create more memories and you can store more values. Let's say there are 200 memories created, but in this we stored only two values. So other 198 memories are wasted. So if you give less, it cannot store more values. If you give more size in advance, so there will be a memory wastage. If you don't use, there will be a memory wastage. So this array is called static array. So static means which cannot grow or shrink at runtime. Which cannot grow or shrink at runtime. Means for example, you have here array int arr and given sizes 2, and after that if I run program, when the program runs, the black window comes, the output window comes, you can only insert two values. If you want to take more values, you have to close the window first, change the size in code and again run. So when you are running the code, that time you cannot grow or shrink. You cannot decrease memory or increase memories. This is the problem with static array. But dynamic arrays is removing all the problems which can grow or shrink at runtime. So here we have one array where you can store a value, then it creates a memory, and this memory can store value and position is 0. If you store one more value, it will create, after when you store value, it will create a memory. See this carefully. There is no memory created in advance. Can you see anything here? I can see a blank page there, white page. There is no memory already here in this page. When you write ARR and when you store a value 4, let's say, then it will create one memory, and this memory is 0 position and it is going to hold value 4. So when it created memory, after you said I want to store a value, then when you say I want to store another value, so it will create a memory and then store a value. So because it is creating memory when you want to store value, so you can store n number of value. There is nowhere written here that we can only store two values. So the first problem is removed. And then is second problem, if you delete any value from your variable, automatically the memory is also going to erased. So there is no memory wastage. So this is just a sample code I am explaining you. This is not any code we have default available in your programming language. But this type of array is available. This type of data structure concept is available. So it will be actually a better option, because you can store n number of values without wasting any single memory. Okay. So there are two type of data structures. So let me ask you a question now, just a minute question. An array is a dash data structure. Dash data, what is dash there? Fill that dash. Fill in the blanks.
Static.
Static data structure. Correct. So array means normal array which every programming language has. Programming language. So it's static array which cannot grow or shrink at runtime. So I will tell you now, because I just explained you about data structure and I told you that every program actually has a logic first, means algorithm first before creating program. This is a logic for calculating two numbers and you can use it in any program. But I also told you that you can solve one problem using different ways. Correct? So how this is possible? So I'm going to open this software here, Code Blocks, because most of the student in this batch I know they know C++ and some of them Java also, but most people here know C++. So I will use C++ software, Code Block software. I will give you the link of the Code Block software in this notepad. You can download it. I will give you link. First, let me create one demo here. On desktop, I am creating one file, demo.cpp. So this demo is just, as I told you, we'll start coding part from next session. But this demo is just to explain you that one program can be solved using different ways. Some program can be solved in 5 6 ways also. This program I am currently solving in two different ways. Now you will decide which way is the best way. Okay, so what is the program? Display sum of first 10 natural numbers. First 10 natural numbers are 1 to 10, and you want to display the sum of first 10 natural. So I'm writing for here. Int I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 10, I plus plus. So I'm just creating logic, then I will explain you. Int sum is equal to 0, sum is equal to sum plus I, and finally I'm writing cout. Okay, so if you see this code here, what is this loop? This loop is giving me first and natural number 1 to 10, and all the natural number I got here I am saving it in this sum variable. This is my variable, and finally I am printing it. So if you want to see line by line, I value is 1, okay, and some value is 0. Some value is 0, write it, and I value is 1. So 0 plus 1, 1. This 1 value is going to store in sum now. 0 plus 1, it becomes 1, and it's stored in a sum variable. So I variable has given first natural number, that is 1, and we stored it in sum. Next natural number is 2. Sum value is 1 and I value is now 2. So 1 plus 2, it will become 3. Then the next natural number is, it has given us 1, now 2, and finally now 3. So 3 plus 3, it will give 6. Then next natural number is 4. 6 plus 4, it will give 10. Then 10 plus next natural number 5, it will give 15. 15 plus next natural number is 6, 21. Similarly, 21 plus next natural number 7. 21 plus 7 is what? 28. 28 plus first next natural number 8 is 35, I think. 28 plus 8 is what? 36. 36 plus 9 is 45. And 45 plus next natural number 10. So finally we got 55. So this answer is correct. 55 is correct. So if you add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 like this till 10, so you will get total as 55. This is correct. So what we are doing, this loop is just giving us first 10 natural numbers, and we are taking those numbers and we are just storing in sum. So after all 10 iterations, everything is added, first 10 natural number. Finally, we will get 10 natural number sum, that is 55. Okay, so if I run the program here, so see it is showing sum is 55. So now this is one logic for printing sum of first and natural number. Here I use loop. Loop is repeating 10 times and finally giving sum. But I will try one more technique. One more technique here. So let me create one function and store this. So I'm just saving this code in one separate function. And I'm creating next another technique for doing same, calculating sum of first and natural. Now what is another technique? N value I'm taking as 10, and then I will just write n plus n plus 1, n into n plus 1 divided by 2, end. Okay, so here we have to take float or something, we have to check here. In C++ there is one decimal value problem. So see the code now. We have only 2 lines of code and it will also print answer. We have one code, 4-5 lines of code, it is printing answer 55. There is one more logic I created, this will print in just 2 lines without any loop. anything. Let's see how. N value is 10. So 10 into n plus 1. N is 10. 10 plus 1 is what? 11. So 11 into 10 is 110. And 110 divided by 2 is what? 110 divided by 2 is what? 55. You can do the calculation. N value is 10 into n plus 1. N is 10, so 10 plus 1 is what? 11. So 11 into 10, you know 11 into 10. 11 tens are 110 divided by 2 is nothing but 55. So by using a formula of sum of first and natural number, we got 55 answer in just one line of code. So if I write function 1 and function 2 and run, so both are giving same answer. So this answer is given by first function, this answer is given by second function. Both are printing same result. Now tell me in the chat which one is the best efficient solution for solving this problem. So which one you think? You can write one or two or function name. Which function is the best option for printing sum of first and natural number? Now I can see everyone is saying second one, but I want reason now. I want reason that why you selected 2, function 2. I want to see this reason why you selected second. Madhura is saying number of lines. Amir is also saying number of lines, less lines of code. Safe is saying less lines of code. So do we have always, is it always correct like less lines of code is always better than more lines of code? So the main thing, yes, the best, you see, you have to select best solution not on the basis of less lines, because programmers seeing less lines, so we have to write less, and others also have to see less code, so less is better, because it will be best for us. We have to give some less programming efforts, but actually it is not always true that less lines of code is best program. You have to see some factors. So the first very important factor, you have to first stick on this factor. Stick to this factor. This factor is time. This is the very important factor, because no one can decrease or increase time. The time is not in the hand. No one can handle the time. So you have to find out the function which takes less time. Now why the function 2 is taking less time? Let's find out. Let's take one example. The function 1 has a loop, and this loop is repeating 10 times. Correct? Am I correct? It repeating 10 times. Let's take one example. If a loop repeats one time, so it takes 1 nanosecond. Okay? Function 1 is taking, for loop is taking, if one repeat one time, it take 1 nanosecond. Nanosecond is very small, less than millisecond. If it repeat 10 time, it is taking how many nanosecond? 10 nanoseconds. Because our loop repeating 10 time, it is taking 10 nanosecond. Correct? One time, so 1 nanosecond, 10 times, so 10 nanosecond. And here our code, this code is just taking 1 nanosecond because there is no loop. So now the problem will start if I increase the value. If I want to calculate sum of 100 natural number now, instead of 10 natural number, I want to calculate sum of 100 natural numbers. So how many times this loop will repeat? 100 times. Means how much time it will take? 100 nanosecond. And how much time this function will take? 1 nanosecond. Because it's not repeating only. If I increase this time 1000, so this will take 1000 nanosecond, because you have 1000 repeat. 10,000, so 10,000 repetition, 10,000 nanosecond. 1 lakh, 1 lakh nanosecond. Now slowly those nanoseconds will become millisecond, and millisecond will become second, and slowly you will get the answer in seconds and sometime in minutes also. So let's try the same thing in both. I will just execute first function. First function is repeating now 10 lakhs time, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6, 10 lakh time, 10 lakh time we are repeating loop. 10 lakh only function 1. Let's see how much time it is taking. It has given answer very fast actually. Let's increase more now. 10 lakh, make it 1 crore, 10 crores, 10 crore repetition. Now let's see how much time this for loop is taking. Okay, so you can see, don't see the only CMD window, see the total time it is taking to open CMD also. We are calling function 1 here. Let's increase more numbers. Okay, I think it is giving same answer, because in if I take float here, double here, because double has more size here in C++, so you can store up to 19 digits. See, and increase more. See, now it started taking more seconds. It will take now, I think, seconds or maybe minutes we have to wait. Earlier it was just taking 1 2 3 4 5 seconds, and now it is started taking more time because it's a very big value. It is somewhere in million trillion. C++ has a faster compiler, so it was working till million, maybe. Now trillion values it's not handling, billion value and trillion value it's not handling. See, it's taking, maybe it will take minutes. Now I will put same number I am copying and paste here. Same number I copied same number in front of you and pasted in second logic and execute the program. See, I got output. It's showing 5 raised to 5 e raised to 19. E raised to 19 means total 19 digits are there after that 5 here. You can put 5 and 19 zeros there. So it is a very big number. Means because the function 2 is taking less time, that's why we will decide and say second function is efficient, not because of number of lines. Sometimes more lines also may be faster because it's taking less time. Okay, so if you have here first factor you have to remember is time. So this code is called linear code, and this code we can say a constant code. Constant. This is, we call it order of growth. What is the order of growth of this program? Order of growth means everyone know increase. If your data increase, if your number increase, is time is increasing? No. See here, when my data was 1, it was taking 1 second. My data was 10, it was taking 1 second. Even my data is this much big data, like 1 trillion data, still it is taking 1 nanosecond. So your data is increasing, but time is same. So that's why you can say the time is constant here. Constant, it is not changing. Where here the date time is linear. The order of growth is linear. When your data was 10, it was taking 10 nanosecond. When data increased to 1000, it was taking 1000 nanosecond. When data increased to 1 trillion, it is taking 1 trillion nanosecond. So this is linear. It is increasing with respect to data. Data increasing, time also increasing. So you can draw like this, like if you create a chart. So if you have your data and if you have your time, so when your data is increasing, your time is also increasing. So it goes like this, linear. When your data was 1, your time was also 1. When your data become 2, your time will also increase 2. So see this increase in time because of increase in data. So it is going linear. Whereas your second logic is constant in time. If your data is 1 or your data is 1 billion, what is your time? Time is same, it's not going up, it's same, steady, constant. So that's why we'll select the second one. So first factor, you have to always see and only see this factor, time. If you find the timings are same or they are close, your time for first logic and second logic, both timings are same or close timings, somewhere same, like one is taking 1 second, another is taking 1.5 second or 1.1 second. So they are close, actually they are not like where they don't have any big difference. Now you can go to second factor. You can come to the second factor only if the first factor is same. Currently you can see a complete difference, function 2 is taking less time than function 1, so directly go with function 2, you don't have to use function 1 here. But if you see both functions are taking, both logics are taking same time, then you can come to another factor, that is memory. So in the memory, you will see how many variables you are using. So here we are using two variable, here you are using only one. So again the second, in this also second wins, because second is taking less memory. And if the memories are also same, if you see that time is also same, memory is also same, now you can come to the programming efforts. This should be in last, programming efforts. If you see time taken by both algorithm are same, memory is also same taken, now you see as a programmer which one you think is a easy to write. You think first one is easy to write, you go with first one, otherwise you go with second. So remember, whenever you have two programs in front of you, they are doing same task, or you searched on Google, let's say I give you one homework question, you searched on Google, you find two different solution. Now which is the best one? So always first you have to see the time. If there is a time difference, you have to go with the best one. And then don't see the other factors. If the first factor has collision, then go with second. And if second factor has a collision, then you go with third one. And if third also has a collision, then you can decide anything you want. It depends on you then. You can go with any program you like. So normally this doesn't happen. Mostly every program has a time differences and we all go with time. There are very rare programs somewhere there which has same time they are taking. So you go with third, second, and then otherwise go with programming. So remember this. So we are going to focus on this part here in data structure. We are going to create different algorithms. We are going to try to find out their timings, then their memories, and then we can select the efficiency of program. Okay. So I will show you one diagram here. So we are not just going to see code and say this is best. There are some techniques for finding efficiency also. You cannot just see and say this is best one. You have to find out using a technique. So see, this is one chart in front of you. So the first line you see is constant. Constant means when your data is 1, your time is 1. Let me open in Paint. So this is order of growth. Order of growth means if you have one data, sorry, here one data, so it is taking 1 second. If you have 10 data, 1 second, 100 data, 1 second, 1000 data, 1 second. If you have any data, if your data is increasing, the time is still taken by your program is 1 second. So this is the best case we have possible in our program. And this is only possible if you have formula. But unfortunately, everything in nature cannot be solved using a fixed formula. Some program required condition, some require uh, repetitions. There are many programs which cannot be solved using repetition, like factorial, Fibonacci series, prime number, many different types of problems we have, which we cannot solve without loops. Not possible only. You can try. So now what you can do? You can solve program using constant, means formula, but if formula is not available, you have to go with loop. So what you can do, you have to try decreasing number of steps. If your loop is taking 1,000 steps, you have to try decreasing the steps. So there are different various techniques for this. Then we have something called logarithmic. This is the second case. Logarithmic is work on log actually. If you search log 1, so you will find log 1 is nothing but 0. Log 10 is nothing but 1. Log 100 is nothing but 2. This is the value of log. So if you have one data, it will take 0 second, means negligible nanoseconds. 10 data, so it will take 1 second. 100 data is 2 second. 1000 data is 3 second. So this situation is also possible. This happens in loop only. We will see when it happens. So I am just showing you situations which may occur, and this is also actually a best case for us. If you have your program in this situation, then also you can say your program is best. This situation, of course, definitely 100% best, and here also you can say 99%, because to bring your program into this performance scale is very important, very rare also. So sometimes it is not possible to bring your program to this performance scale. So if you have your program in this situation also, you are actually fortunate, and this is also a best case for your program. If your performance in this program linear means we have just seen, if you have one data 1 second, 10 data 10 second, 100 data 100 second, 1000 data 1000 nanosecond. So this situation is also acceptable, but we have to then focus on different techniques are there which can reduce actually time. There are some more techniques we can add. So there is no problem in these some four techniques, if not techniques, sorry, four order of growth. If your program, if your logic, if your algorithm lies between these four, then it is completely acceptable. But if your program goes to this three, then it becomes very dangerous for your program. You have to be sure, you have to try everything that you can do for not making your program lying in these three situations: quadratic, cubic, and exponential. What is quadratic means? Quadratic means, you know, square. If you have one loop, and inside that loop if you have another loop, so this situation becomes quadratic. Let's say your first loop is repeating 10 times, and inside that loop you have one more loop repeating 10 times. So how many times these loops are going to repeat? Do you know how many times this will repeat? Anyone? Total altogether how many times these loops are going to repeat? The first loop repeat 10 times, another 10 times. So total they are going to repeat 100 times, 10 into 10. Because inner loops complete, then again outer loop starts. Inner loop completes, then again outer loop start. This is how it's going to repeat 100 times multiplication. So this situation is quadratic. So one data it 1 second, but for 10 data 100 seconds. I'm just taking second as here, but actually it is nanosecond. So 100, 10,000, because 100 square is 10,000. If you have only 1,000 data, only 1,000 data, it is taking 1 million. Yes, 1 million here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is like worst situation which you can face. Not the worst one, but yeah, of course, the because we have more two options, we have to see those also. We have cubic. Cubic is like one more bad situation. You have one for loop repeating 10 times. Inside that you have one more loop repeating 10 times, and you have one more loop inside that. So how many times it will repeat? 10 into 10 100, 100 into 10 1000. So this loop will repeat 1000 times. Okay, so what you have to understand from this, loops are of course useful, but they are not we always helping us. If you have more loops, and especially the nested loops, they are going to also increase the time. This is also you have to remember. And whenever you are creating a code which you want to run faster, you have to ensure using less loops, at least less nested loops. And if you don't have a choice, using nested loop is very important, mandatory. We don't have any other solution available anywhere. So you can go with loops, nested loops, but you have to try some techniques to reducing their number of iterations. There are some techniques we are going to see. So even if you have three loops one inside another, still you can get the linear or maybe log linear situation also. Even if you have three loops one inside another, you can get log linear or linear type of situation if you add some techniques. So if your program lies in these three, there is a problem, but you can still improve them. And finally, this is the worst case which we don't want to see in our code. This is like a exponent. Exponential name is also given exponent. Means if you have one data, it will take 2 raised to 1, 2. If you have 10 data, it will take 2 raised to 10. Now 2 raised to 10 is a very big number. You can go and multiply and calculate and check. 2 into 2, it's like compounding. 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, 2, 2, 2. Do this for 10 times and you will see the number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 4000. Means only for 10 data it will repeat somewhere 2000, 4000 times. For 100 data it is more worse. 2 into 2 into 2, do this for 100 times and you will get number in somewhere million. And for 1000 data you will get somewhere in trillion, or I don't know, maybe in zillion also, because it's a very big 2 into 2. If you do for 1000 times, it's very big uh, task, and it is going to repeat more time. So we don't have to do this. We don't want our program in exponential. Okay, so in this data structure we are going to try solving one problem using different solutions, and after solving them using different solution, then we are going to find out uh, which order of growth our program lies in, and how to reduce that problem, how to make it in good case, or at least yeah, best case or at least good case, rather than this bad or worst case. How we can do that? So this is what we are going to learn in the data structure concept, data structure module. Anyone has any query or doubt here? Okay, so this was just introduction session. So I was just trying to explain you about the module. So in this module, we are going to try solving one demo using different solutions. And after solving them, we will check which one is the best using this order of growth, and how to make it more efficient by adding different techniques. So as I told you, we are not going to start with coding part today. We just started with one demo just to understand that it really happens, where you can solve one program using different ways if you try. And then we have to select best one, and not just by looking the lines of code, or we feel the first is easy, so let's go with that. You have to first take the time factor, then memory factor, and finally, if both are same, so programming efforts. So our programming efforts comes in the last. The programming efforts doesn't matter that, as the memory and time matters, as compared to these two things matters. because code can be copied also, generated also, um, and we can also write it. But time cannot be generated. Memory can be increased. This is possible. Like some of the games, they directly say while installing you require this memory and everything. So memory can be increased also, but time cannot be increased. So the first factor has to be time. Where is the link on? CodeBlocks link I am sharing with you. Just wait. Yeah, this is the link, I think. Yes. Started downloading automatically. So I'm giving link directly, but you don't have to go actually this link. You can just type CodeBlog on Google, and after typing CodeBlog on Google, open the official website. This is the official website. Go to download binary release, Windows, and there is a MingW setup. In this we get compiler, everything. So just download this one. Any website you can use and download. I have given direct link. If you want, copy paste and download, install. We are going to write code in this software. Anyone has any doubt or query? So I have written the summary here. So next session we are going to start with the techniques of data structure, few techniques. This is again theory, but after that we will start with the coding part. So in the next session we will start with various techniques and coding part both.
So, what software do we need to use for DSL?
Code blocks, na?
Acha, same one.
Yeah, only code blocks we are going to use. Only code blocks software we are going to use. And I hope everyone knows when is the next session. When is the next session? When is the next data structure session? Anyone knows? Not tomorrow. It's not tomorrow actually. I think it's not updated on website. Let me check. It is actually a regular session. Of course, it is a regular session. Yeah, I think yeah, some got the update. So remember, it is not tomorrow. It is directly on Thursday. So actually today's intro session, some students will join from Thursday. So from Thursday it will be regular, 18, 19, 20, then 20, 22, regular session. But tomorrow and day after tomorrow there is no session. Okay, and yeah, so there is one C++ students also are here in this batch. So C++ session is there. Those who are attending C++ with me. So tomorrow will be last session of C++. Same time, 7 to 9. It is going to be a last session of C++, and then you will attend data structure, and if any other batch you are attending. So today I am just sending this file to you, the C++ file which I have written here, C++, and where is that file gone? Yeah, here. Just wait, let me adjust my screen. Data structure introduction. Yeah, so everything is written here. Pictures are also there and file is also there. Everything is there in this folder. So I what you will do then in these 2 days if you are not attending any session. Okay, so as I have written the topics in the file, you can see in the notepad file I created, I have written topics which are required, very important in data structure. We are going to see loops in detail, arrays with indexes. There are many indexing is very important, and there are different types of indexing. Code is going to jump from here and there. It's not line by line. So you should have a hands-on practice on all these topics. So if you are free or whether you're not free, but in these 2 days, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, you have to spend at least 1 to 2 hours and practice these topics. type the topics, type the code, and after typing code you can also try something R&D, just doing R&D in the side code for understanding code more in detail. So I want everyone to try this and follow this practice. 2 days, 2 hours are actually not enough. If you're free, if you spend more, then it will be great. So I got email. Okay, I got email of Excel file. In this Excel, all data structure, students who registered, their details are, emails are here. So please check once if your email address is here. If not, then please write in the chat section. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 15 emails are there. 16 students are joined. Oh, 16 emails are there, sorry, 16 emails are there. Yeah, 16 emails are there. So anyone email is missing, please check your email address. If not there, please write fast in the chat. I hope you have seen your email address now. Yeah, there are 16 email, but actually 15 students are only joined. 15 students, because one student joined with two accounts here. Digvijay, your email is not there. Is this your email ID? Digvijay Yadav 843. Please confirm. Okay, so I'm sending email now. Let me check if the attendance screen is activated or not. Okay, so I want you to practice existing demos of C++. You can also find some on Google if you want, but try these topics: functions, arrays, especially arrays, loops, and functions. All these topics separately. Function is just to call, so arrays, at because in 2 days you cannot focus all, so at least focus on arrays, loops, demos. Okay, so the link is not activated yet. It will activate by tomorrow. So means I can take your attendance from Thursday. So remember, your lecture is directly on Thursday now. You have to download code blocks if you don't have, and practice in for sorry, if else and array topics. Okay, so I sent you the email. Now our next session is directly on Thursday. Those who are attending C++, you have session tomorrow. Because this is just introduction session, so we are going to wind up early today, and Thursday we are going to start with the coding part. Anyone has any doubts or queries? Okay, yeah, yeah. So for student ID, Digvijay, what you have to do is you have to contact your center once. Okay, which center you are from? Vileparle, Grant Road, Goregaon, Andheri center you are from. So you know Clara ma'am? Do you know Clara ma'am? Okay, so you just contact once. So she will check in the system and give you the student ID. Okay. When will we get the book? See, for the data structure book now, when you open this training.com, you can see first whether you have book there or not. Otherwise, in next session, I will give you one ID password. Okay, I will give you one sample ID password which you can use until you receive your book on your training.com. Okay, so I will give one ID password, sample ID password you can use if you have not received a data structure book. Yeah, so that I will give in next session, because next session we'll start with coding. Okay, then any other doubts, queries? Yeah. So thank you everyone for attending the session. I'm ending the meeting now. Bye bye. See you on Thursday.